Sometimes in Scotland it's hard to find really remote areas, and some would argue that there aren't really any wilderness areas in Scotland. Most of it's been touched by land. But today I was heading to a place that certainly had that feeling, and the first thing that I noticed on the drive up was the danger sign. Never a good sign when you're heading into some remote mountain areas. Anyway, I was headed up a single track road, and there was the necessity to get out and open a gate or two to allow my progress, and before long I was reaching the road end in this remote area of Scotland, and it's not where you might think. Well, here I am, and this is my spot for the night. Quite nice actually. And tomorrow's adventure will be a big day round these hills behind here. But it's clearing up quite nicely. If you watched last week's, which was for me today, up in near Ben Lors and what have you, it was the weather wasn't great. The forecast is a bit better. Well, it certainly was a bit better for tomorrow with high pressure building. It certainly seems that way. The clouds certainly dissipating. There's some nice pink clouds over there, so hopefully the skies will clear and I'll get a nice day tomorrow. But anyway, time to get into the van and get it all set up and ready for a comfortable night. So I spent a few hours just getting my gear ready for the following day, and before long darkness had descended on the glen, and I put my head down for a few hours sleep before the adventure started in the morning. Right, morning folks, turn this off. Well, it's now about 7, what time is it exactly in fact? 7:22, and I'm a bit behind the curve today. I was hoping to get away by 7, but there's cloudy skies. I was hoping to get away for 7 so I could get to the top of the first hill for sunrise, but having looked out, I had a bit more of a leisurely start because I don't think there's going to be much of a sunrise. I maybe proved wrong. Anyway, today's going to be a big day. Over 20 kilometres walking and about 15 to 1600 metres of ascent around a loch. And I'm in quite a remote area, or it feels very remote, and I think by the time I get to the faraway point on this hike, I'm going to feel even more remote, so I'm really looking forward to today. The wind's died right down from yesterday and overnight. There's hardly a breath of wind now, which is great, so I'm really looking forward to this. Hoping to get some great views and have some great hiking. A couple of things which are concerning me at the moment. There are a couple of very steep drops. Exactly halfway I've got to drop all the way down to this level that I'm at the moment, again at the head of the loch. And there's a couple of burns that run into the loch, and it had been raining quite a lot, so yeah, I'm hoping that those burns aren't in spate still. I've done this on the second day of my adventure to try and let the level of the water drop down, but I suppose I'll find out in about 5 or 6 hours. Anyway, enough talking. Let's get my stuff all packed up and the van down, and yeah, I'll soon be on my way. Right, let's get my bag packed. After a wee bit more faffing about, getting my shoes on and my boots on and my bag ready and closing down the van before I headed off, I eventually made it up onto onto the track, and the walk was started. And one of the reasons I decided to come up this way was the slope of the hill was south facing, so should there be any lovely dawn skies or a nice sunrise, I should have been able to see it from up here. But it was a lovely morning, and I was soon ascending up the hill and getting some great views down the loch, which was the centre piece of the route today. I was going to circumnavigate this round quite a few mountains. I've stopped because that's the sun just peeking over the horizon now. I'll spin you around. I might might be all washed out, but the sun's come up now. And yeah, I've said this before in videos, but it's amazing how much a little bit of sunshine perks up your spirits. Anyway, I'm probably halfway up the first mountain, which is a Munro called Meal Buoy, and it's been pretty boggy going, and the higher up I've come, the colder it's got, and there's a wee bit of verglass on some of the rocks, and some of the Lochains are a wee bit frozen, but that's just fine. It's great. And seeing the sun's just lovely. There was a wee bit of a sunrise, well, when I say a wee bit of a sunrise, there was some nice dawn clouds, nothing too spectacular, but that's the sun up now. The snow's all gone from Lors, which that area I was in yesterday, so I'm not expecting much snow up here. But lovely, if it stays like this, happy days. Right, less talking, let's get walking. I suppose I can get rid of this at some point. I'll maybe take this off at the top. Let's go. Up I went, and it was a lovely morning now. The sun was kind of speckling the landscape behind me over towards the Ben Lors range, and the sky was a lovely colour. And before long I could see the summit of the hill, and things were getting a bit more frosty underfoot, which was nice, and the wind was picking up just a little bit. And boy, I'll tell you something, it was a bit nippy when that wind picked up. The first cairn I came to, I initially thought might have been the summit without looking at the map, but from here it's a long plateau and another little walk along to the true summit of the hill. I wonder how many people have been caught out by that in bad weather. Anyway, before long I was reaching the larger cairn which marks the summit of this mountain. Oh, there's the sun coming out again, just in time for me being at the summit. So this is the summit of Meal Buoy. Oh god, how high is it? About 900, I think, I want to say 926 metres. I did just look at the map a minute ago, but I've forgotten already. And it's taken me probably about an hour and 45 to get up here. So in the summer, this is actually quite a good Munro for beginners. It's not too technically difficult. There's a few sections of bog where you lose the path and you have to try and find it again through the bog, but not too bad. And it's a lovely hill, lovely summit, and one of the reasons I wanted to come back here, I think it'll be 20 plus years since I've been here. I wanted to come back because this is one of the hills that sits on the southern wall of Rannoch Moor, which is if those of you that aren't aware, it's a massive area of moorland, high moorland in Scotland, which stretches from Loch Tummel, Loch Rannoch right round to Glencoe, and today it's just very, very, it's beautiful. I've forgotten how beautiful this part of Scotland is. The mists are rolling about the lochs and over Rannoch Moor, and right over to Glencoe there's all these mists just sitting down on the moors. It's absolutely beautiful and atmospheric, and the sun's starting to make an appearance now, so fingers crossed. So this is the easy peak of the day. I've got I'm going to drop down now to the head of the loch, and I do drop back down to the same level I started with, and then the next section up the Corbett is the steepest section of the day. So yeah, there's 2 Munros and 1 Corbett in this round. This is the first Munro, and whenever I suggest there's a Corbett, in amongst other hills, you know it's going to be a big day because the drops in the Corbetts are more defined. So yeah, I'm going to linger here for just a wee while longer, take a few snaps, and then get cracked on. It's not warm, I tell you. Whew. After taking in the views from the summit of the first mountain, I headed west, and at this point there are no paths. Leaving the Munro, you're headed up onto pathless, boggy moorland, and I headed up over one top before heading for, I suppose, the second proper top of the day, Mealcroon, which was a fantastic, fantastic viewpoint. What a great view over Rannoch and towards Glencoe you get from the summit of this wee hill. Well worth the diversion. Right, it's 11:30. Whew, and that's me on the second summit, well maybe the third. This is at the end of the northern edge of the circuit that I'm doing round Lochain Dam. And you can see where I've come from over my shoulder, way over there. But the views from this hill, this is Mealcroon, and it sits at 830 metres. And I was really keen to come to this summit because this is the closest summit. It's right on that Rannoch wall that I was talking about, overlooking Rannoch Moor. I don't know if you can see me, but behind me you can see Rannoch Moor stretching out all the way over to Glencoe, and you can see that the mountains to the west are actually, the cloud level's a bit lower. So certainly this is a place to be, but it's just lovely. It's bands of mist still running across Rannoch Moor. What a place, very wild, and it feels quite remote here, it really does. Anyway, I now need to drop right back down, and I can see over my shoulder here is the Corbett, and that's going to be the hardest part of the day, getting to the top of that, and then up and round to Stuchd and Lochain. But I think I'll be pushing it whether I get home. When I get home, whether I get back to the van, it might be dark, I might be getting the head torch out, but yeah, I need to be careful going down here. It's a really steep drop, so I'm going to sit up here and just savour the views for a wee bit longer, and then start the descent down to the western end of Lochain Dam. Wow. Right, let's get going. Whew. That's the next peak. It's going to be a steep pull, and then rounding over to the one over the back there. That's the head of the loch, so I just need to get down this steep bit now and cross. Hopefully that river's not going to be too high. I'll maybe stop at those trees, that coppice of trees there, for a bite to eat. Oh man. Feeling a bit tired, I'm not even halfway yet. Right, let's get down this bit and get something to eat. So this is the steep descent that I was talking about at the start of the video, and it does need some care. You know, if it's snowy conditions, it'd be rather unpleasant. And the river crossing today was actually fine, as you can see, but just be wary again if you're coming here after heavy rain. This could be a bit of a nightmare, and it's not the best place to discover that you have to retrace your steps almost exactly halfway into the round. What a place this is. I'm now at the halfway point. It's 12:30, so that's taken me 4.5 hours to get here, and I'm reckoning it's going to take possibly that, if not more, to get all the way back. I'll wait and see. Next bit's a really steep ascent up the Corbett, but this I've just stopped here for lunch, and it's a very atmospheric place. And I said before I'd been up Mealbuie, and I did it the way most people do it, just from the car park up and down, with my dad and my wife actually many years ago. But the book that I took inspiration from you might have heard me talking about this in the video that I did when I went over how I got into hill walking, was Cameron McNeish's book, which is wonderfully illustrated with photos from, I think it's Colin Baxter. Anyway, Cameron McNeish suggests you do this circuit, although he suggests you do it the other way. I've come around this way for a number of reasons, which I might go into later on. But I've actually, I took a photograph of Cameron's book because he describes this part here almost perfectly. Now that I'm here, I can see what he said. So he says, steep slopes drop down to the head of Lochain Dam, a place of great atmosphere, which I would never have associated with these southern hills. It's a spot which feels as remote as any, hemmed in on three sides by high, steep hills, with the long, slim trench of Lochain Dam creating a long funnel for the wind. So yeah, he's got it spot on there, although the wind isn't too bad today, thankfully, and I'm glad that the rain from the other days hadn't swollen those rivers, because you can see where I came across the river, you can see there's a riverbed, so in flooding times that could be almost impossible to pass. But anyway, thanks Cameron for providing the inspiration. I've finally got here 20 years later, but fantastic. Anyway, I should stop procrastinating and actually just start heading up this steep hill behind me, because the longer I sit here, the more chance it is that I'm going to be getting back to the van in the dark. I do have two head torches with me though. Oh man, right. Oh, let's do this steep pool. Ah. So I eventually stopped procrastinating and pulled my weary body up the steep slopes of the Corbett, and this was the steepest and hardest part of the day with the most descent, and it's pretty direct and pretty steep, but the views back down to the head of Lochain Dam are spectacular. Ah, the summit. What a small little cairn. Look at that. A wee antler, deer antler here. Anyway, whew, that was a steep pool. I've done it in just over an hour, well, probably an hour and 20. And I don't feel too bad, my legs didn't suffer too badly, but I think that's because I had something to eat down at the bottom. I really haven't eaten much today. I had a Scotch egg and a mug of coffee, and that was really about it. And then last night from my tea in the camper van, I had tea, but yeah, to say it was nutritious and filling would be a lie. I think it was noodles followed by milk is it milk buttons, white chocolate buttons, of which there was only about 5 or 6 of them, and then a packet of Pringles. So yeah, the food did help down there. Anyway, I'm not going to hang around here. I have been on this Corbett before. In fact, I think there's a Corbett just over here as well. I've been on this Corbett before, I think 2013 it was. And it was a nice blue sky day, and I got some nice pictures down the loch. I'll maybe put one up now. But yeah, time to crack on, because I've still got to get to the highest point, and I've got 2 hours, 2 hours until the sun goes down. So I think it could be head torch time. As long as I can get to the next summit before it's too dark, I think I'll be okay. The path will re-emerge then, because that's the Munro, and there'll be a path from there back to the van. Right, let's go. My legs are starting to feel it a bit now. So I've just come down off the Corbett. We'll spin you round. That's the Corbett up there. It's a bit blurred, but hey ho. And I'm now at the Bealach. So the highest mountain of the day is Stuchd, and it sits at about 960 metres. And that's the final pool, which is over this way. You can't quite see the top over my shoulder, but it's about 3 kilometres, 2.5, 3 kilometres, and about another, well, it's over 300 metres of ascent. And it's now after 2, sunset's about 3:30. So yeah, we'll see. I think I'll be touch and go. I think I will have to get my head torch out, to be honest with you, but we'll see. We'll see how it is. It's not too bad. Right, that's me at the Bielach, and that's the top of Stuchd there, so it's a final 200 metres of ascent. It's going to be a bit of a pull up here, but yeah, the weather's on the slide actually. It seems like there's some showers coming in over here, and it's starting to get a bit darker now, although we've still got 40 minutes until sundown. It's just I think the clouds getting thicker from the west. So yeah, last wee pull up here. Fortunately, I don't think I'm going to see diddly squat from the summit. There's lots of mist up there, but I'll be glad when I get up there and I can start heading back to the car. Just yeah, feeling tired, and I don't have any jelly babies. Can't believe it. I'd finished off my jelly babies the last time round and didn't restock. Oh, schoolboy error. Anyway, let's get up here. Ah. So the gathering gloom eventually made it to the summit of Lochain, and this has got one of the earliest ascents, or stories of an early ascent, when the chief of Clan Campbell came up here with his servant Finlay and ordered him to chase some goats off the summit into the Lochain below, and then told the servant to do the same, but I think he was okay, and that was a way back in the 16th century. But today there was no goats, or Campbells, thankfully. Oh right, just come off the summit. The summit's literally just up there on the skyline, but it was kind of blowing a wee bit, so I thought I'd just continue down till I get a bit of shelter, which I've got here. And the views have just completely disappeared. It is, it's 3:20, so it was perfect timing for catching the sunset, but not going to be catching anything, so I'm just going to crack on and see how far I can get down before I need to get the head torch out. Oh, I'm tired. Right, let's go. At this point in the walk, there's usually great views down into the small Lochain, but I was kind of thinking I wasn't going to get any views at all until I reached a small rising, and it seemed that the cloud was lowering. Just as the sun was going down, it was around about dusk, and it was just that feeling that something special was going to happen, and the band of Venus out in the eastern skies was brightening them to a pinky purple glow, and it was just absolutely fabulous. I must have spent an extra 40 to 45 minutes up here watching the cloud lower down below me into the glen before it disappeared into nothing. A fantastic experience. Having stayed high for an extra bit of time, I knew I was going to be descending into the gloom and the head torch would be required. I was on a pretty good path now, seeing as this was a Monroe, and before long I decided to get that head torch out before it got completely dark. Just a wee tip for you there. It can be a bit of a hassle when it's pitch black on the side of the hill trying to locate your head torch in the bag, and before long I was in fact descending in the dark, and I was glad that I had my head torch, because yeah, it would have been a bit tricky coming down that path in the dark with the moon not really lighting up enough. Anyway, I'd used up all the hours of daylight that I'd been given today, and after a good few hours I was soon back at the van, and boy was I relieved to see it. Another fantastic day out in the mountains of Scotland. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and I'll hopefully see you on the next adventure.